Well, good morning and welcome to the channel. My name is Jeff. This channel is called Life After Bypass. If you're here, and you are, you've probably had bypass surgery affect you in some way. Either you've had bypass surgery, maybe had a loved one had bypass surgery, or a friend, or maybe some other open heart surgery, valve replacement, or whatever the case may be. So again, welcome. I want to make a quick disclaimer that I'm just a content creator here. I am not a doctor. I'm not here to give medical advice, and so don't listen to me for medical advice. But the purpose of the channel really is to try to create a space where we can talk about life after bypass, as the name implies. The reason is that, I don't know about you, but I found a lot of information about the actual surgery, what takes place on the day of surgery, how long it takes, what the bypass machine does, all that sort of thing. But still to this day, I found very little information on what to do on the other side of the surgery, so to speak. And that's really what I want this channel to be about, and to be a space where we can share information that may be beneficial to all of us, really. So, one thing I want to point out is doctors save lives. Had a doctor certainly save my life. Doctors maybe have saved your life or a loved one. But when that's over, there's not a lot of coaching, so to speak, or consultation on how to go about life afterwards. Maybe a little bit, but when you look around on YouTube or other sources, there's just not a lot of information. And so that kind of motivated me to maybe start this channel and create that kind of space. So I hope it's of interest to you anyway. So my view is pretty simple, is that bypass surgery doesn't end when you're back in recovery. That's really just the beginning of it. So my first day of the beginning was the day after my surgery. So I do have a picture here I'll share right here, right now, of that new beginning for me. Yeah, there's nothing quite sexier than a hospital gown and a heart pillow, huh? So yeah. So, but that was the day after my surgery. I'm not even sure they had got me up walking yet when I think it was my wife took that picture. So, but anyway, that's my view. That bypass surgery doesn't end when you're back in recovery. It's just kind of the beginning. If you remember nothing else about this channel, I want you to remember this. You're not alone, far from it. There are approximately 125 million people in the United States that are 50 years of age or older. And statistically, somewhere between 300,000 and 400,000 people a year in this country have bypass surgery. That translates to 1 in about every 350 people have bypass surgery in this country, over the age of 50. Think about that. 1 in 350 people over the age of 50 have bypass surgery. So bypass surgery isn't routine by any means, but it is very common, and you're not alone. So that's a big thing I wanted to point out. I just had had several friends and several family members that have had bypass surgery. Just the other day, I had a college roommate who was 2 years behind me in college. On July 1st, he had a triple bypass. And he was kind of taken aback by it in my conversation with him, just didn't understand how that could happen to him. He lives a pretty pretty active lifestyle. So there are a lot of people who kind of go through that process. So again, good place here to discuss it, I guess. So this is your space to engage, our space to engage. So common thing about a surgery of this significance is typically the patient and family, there's a lot of anxiety and there's a lot of fear, and it affects people, I think, in different ways. Maybe we'll have my wife on at some point and tell you about what her day and my children's day in the waiting room was like, because it was entirely different than mine, entirely different. And to this day, I absolutely cannot explain why, but I wasn't the least bit nervous going into the surgery. I remember even before the anesthesia hit me that I was joking with the nurse about putting a hairnet on me. So I don't know why. Not sure it'd be that way if I had to do it again. I don't know. But it affects people in different ways. But there is an anxiety, there is a fear. It's very common. You wonder, will you ever be normal again? Will you be able to do normal things? Will you be able to exercise? What can I eat? What shouldn't I eat? Can I travel? All sorts of things that I think are natural that we go through. And one thing that came across my mind, I guess it was about a week after my surgery, and I was back in the medical building to meet with my surgeon. Then the PA was there doing some routine exam stuff, and I asked her how they put me back together, and she said with stainless steel wire. And I guess I had a look about me, and she said, we pull you back together and kind of hold it in place with stainless steel wire. And I said, my guess is you're not going back in to get that either. And she said, no, they're not going back in to get that. So then, it made me think, can I even get through an airport metal detector? Because my wife and I do travel. So I asked her, and she didn't know the answer to that question. And 10 minutes go by, the surgeon comes in, and I didn't think to even ask him, but it has not been a problem. But I am curious whether you or someone has had something like that happen. I doubt it, but if so, leave me a comment and let me know. But again, we go through that process of, will you be normal again? What can I eat? What shouldn't I eat? How much exercise should I get? What should I avoid? And just like I said before, will I ever be normal again? So that's a pretty normal thing, I think, that folks go through. But the question is who's there to answer it? And doctors, as I said, they do a great job at saving your lives, but they don't answer some of those questions, so to speak. So hopefully this is a space we can do that, and we can share that information. So my story isn't unique in any way, any shape, any form. It was I guess a typical bypass surgery. I had a double bypass, and I'll get more into this in the next video, and I'll tell you why. But it wasn't a unique surgery in any way that I can tell. I had a double bypass. I was 3 or 4 days in the hospital after the surgery. Waited about a month, went into cardiac rehab. Kind of kicked butt in cardiac rehab, to be honest with you. I was in pretty good shape. I was actually training for a big hike when I discovered that I had to have surgery. So I was in pretty good shape in cardiac rehab after a week or two, which was 3 months long. But after a week or two, I was making really good progress. So my story isn't unique. But I do think it's fair if this is gonna be a platform where we share some information that I do tell you that part of the story, not to be about me, but I think it's only fair. So the next video, if there's an appetite for this, the next video I'll talk about that, about what that day was like. And again, it was extremely different for me than it was for my wife and my children. And again, maybe one day we'll have her on to tell that part of the story. But so anyway, hopefully this channel is of interest to you, the topic's of interest to you. If there is, and there's an appetite, I'll continue to do some videos and to share. And if not, I'll go away. But if it is something that's of interest to you, I hope you'll think about subscribing so you don't miss the next video or videos that come out, and think about sharing it with somebody that could benefit from it, and could exchange some information to help others. So that's it for this first video, and thanks for watching, and I hope I see you next time right here on Life After Bypass.